Hello and welcome to another video, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about next-gen upgrades and how each company is handling this, how it's just an utter shit show of a mess, and just it's simple tweaks that could make this whole process better, more simpler for the consumer, and just get rid of all this mixed messaging. So really quick before we start the video, I saved recording this video until after Sony's conference today because I wanted to have and hope that there would be a little more information regarding backwards compatibility for the PS5. Sadly, it's still as murky, if not murkier, than it was before the conference. We do have some hard facts on the PS5 now. It launches in North America and most major parts of the world on November 12th. The disc version, or the version that most everybody's going to want, is $499. So they're neck and neck with Microsoft on price there. And then there's the digital version is $399. So they're kind of the in-between Microsoft's low-end machine and the high-end. So interesting pricing structure there for sure. And from everything I've seen thus far, it seems like there will be more of the physical disc versions of the console out in the wild than there will be of digital-only consoles. With that being said, I watched through this entire press conference, crossing my fingers and hoping that Sony would have a little more to say about backwards compatibility for the PS5. The only nugget of that we got in the actual press conference was their new added value to PlayStation Plus. So they're adding something called the PlayStation Collection to your PS Plus subscription. What this is a curated list of PS4 titles that you will have access to day one on PS5 that you can download and play. What's not clear yet, I would assume that if you already own these games on PS4, you can just transfer your saves over. They have not said if these games are going to run and look better, or if they're just going to be emulated PS4 games on PS5. None of that was said because they've literally not talked about backwards compatibility with this machine, which seems nuts, absolutely nuts this late in the game. But I'll just rattle off a couple of those big titles were, of course, Bloodborne, Persona 5, the Uncharted games, and Last of Us Remastered. Noticeably not Last of Us 2, but I believe Last of Us 2 will still be backwards compatible with the machine. It just won't be part of this PS Plus collection. I would also assume that that means that these PS4 games, if you already own the discs, they will likely work in the PS5. So with that being said, that's a little bit more of the facts on the PS5. But I want to jump into today's video specifically about backwards compatibility and next-gen upgrades, because I think of everything, the thing that really just kind of shot this whole thing out was Remedy and Control and how they're handling that game's next-gen upgrade. I wouldn't really put all the blame on Remedy. I would put it on the publisher, 505 Games. Basically what happened was they came out and said, hey, we're putting out an Ultimate Edition of Control. It is $40. It gets you all the DLC and everything that's made for the game, but only people that purchase this version of the game will be able to get the next-gen upgrades on PS5 and Xbox Series X. So what that means is, if you, like me, you bought Control day one, that copy of it, well, it will still work on the Series X. You won't get the next-gen upgraded version of the game, which is absolute horseshit if we're being honest. And that's kind of where this downward trend started to begin. So one thing I will really applaud Microsoft for with the Series X and their forward thinking and strategy is that they're looking backwards and they're celebrating all the generations of games that have been released. They have so many games that are going to be backwards compatible on this new machine, and a lot of them are going to take advantage of that much more accelerated hardware. It's really fascinating, it's really interesting. It's one of the main reasons why I'm getting one on day one, is because I want to see how that works. The problem is they did all of the legwork, and they basically come out and say, hey, every Xbox One game that's been released, minus games that use the Kinect, and I think there's like one or two other titles, will be fully playable on the Series X. So why isn't Sony doing that? You look at the other side of it, you have one company who, and this isn't just first-party Microsoft titles, this is everything that has been released in the last 7 years for the Xbox One system. So that means Xbox One, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X is playable on Series X. Also playable on Series S, but that's a digital system, so if you have a disc, you're not popping the disc into that machine. It makes the argument and that whole thing much more staggering when you look at Sony and you look at the PS5, and anytime they've ever been asked the question about that specifically, the answer's always been, well, we believe in generations, we don't really believe in backwards compatibility. The only thing I can find right now, and the only thing they've confirmed, is for launch, the top 100 most played or most popular PS4 games will work on PS5. They haven't put that list out yet. I would assume they'll put it out shortly because we're pretty much past, we're a little under 2 months until the system launches. It'd be kind of nice to know. So the control thing's kind of what kicked this off. What made it even worse are companies like 2K and their handling of basketball this year, and more specifically Activision and Call of Duty. So Call of Duty is probably the worst. Basically, they've come out and said that if you own the PS4 version of the game, you can purchase a PS5 upgrade. I'm assuming it'll probably be like $10, $20. And if you have the disc, you'll put the PS4 disc into the PS5 and then be able to purchase that upgrade. Digitally, same thing, you'll just purchase the upgrade price, whatever that is. Again, assumption it's $10 to $20. Where it gets even stranger is for the Xbox. So for the Series X, there is no way that they are going to distinguish an Xbox One copy of the game. If you pop that disc into your Series X, you will not be able to purchase the Series X upgrade for the game. Instead, you are always locked at that Xbox One version of the game. And if you want a Series X version of it, you need to buy the whole game again. And it just doesn't make any sense, especially of the two companies, when Microsoft has been the one that has been on the forefront for making sure everything comes forward this time around. The only thing I can think of is because of Sony's marketing deal with Activision, that's why they have such a strange policy for Call of Duty. But it just begs the question of, why is this the way that it is, you know? And for Control, it's shameful, it's lousy that they're locking it behind a new version of the game. For someone like me who purchased Control at launch, I was looking forward to playing those 2 DLCs and continuing my adventure on the next system with next-gen upgrades. Now, if I wanted to do that, I would have to go out and purchase the game again on a system that I already own it for, just to get the next-gen upgrade. What I did personally behind the scenes is I ended up buying it on Steam because I want to play that DLC, but I also want to enjoy the game with ray tracing, and you can do all that right now if you have a video card that's capable of ray tracing. So after some deals and promotions, I was able to get it down to like 20 something. Not everyone's gonna be, and like for me personally, that was something I was planning on doing launch day, since if we're being honest, a launch day for the Xbox Series X, there's not much to go around. That was a game I was looking forward to playing on launch day. Now my launch day kind of looks like Assassin's Creed. And, you know, on Sony's side of things, hey, they have Demon's Souls remake at launch. That's really cool. The game looks absolutely stunning. But I have 80 PS4 games, physical PS4 games, that I would like to be able to play on my PS5, so I don't have to have a PS4 Pro anymore. I can, you know, give that to my girlfriend and she can upgrade from her launch PS4. I can't do that now because the PS5 isn't going to be fully backwards compatible. And I don't understand when Microsoft did all the legwork on their side of things, and again, that's every Xbox One game released basically, first party, third party, you name it. Why can't Sony do that with their machine? You know, I don't know if it's just they didn't feel like investing in the time and resources to make that happen. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, they're not doing that with the PS5, and it just doesn't make sense. It makes that pill much more hard to swallow on launch day, because if we look now, we have kind of the full picture of the PS5. On launch day, for me, when I look at it, there's 2 games. There's Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is also confirmed to be coming out on PS4 the same day, and Demon's Souls Remake, which is console exclusive to PS5. So you have one exclusive game you can only play on PS5, and it's a remake of a 10-year-old game. Granted, it looks jaw-dropping, but what about the 80 PS4 games, which I'd say maybe of those 80, I've played about 20 to 30 of them. So I have like 50 PS4 games I would love to play on a new PlayStation, especially at a launch where there's not a lot coming out. Now, that just makes the choice so much harder for that machine. And it's downright shameful when you see companies that are looking at this and going, well, we can make an extra $1 here too. And I'm not defending Remedy, and I'm not defending 505. I think it's incredibly shitty what they've done. What I will say there is their stance on it is, oh, we had to do all of this hard work to make this possible on these new systems. They did all that work last year when the game was made, because the game came out on PC last year. Granted, it was Epic Game Store exclusive, but it came out there, and guess what? That game had ray tracing and all those assets day one. So they haven't had to do much of anything to port that game over to these new systems. So don't let that excuse fool you. And I think a lot of people have called bullshit to it, and the internet was very, very, very vocal about their stance on Control Ultimate Edition when that was announced a couple weeks ago. And like I said, I held off on making this video because I wanted to see how some of the other companies were going to react about backwards compatibility and what they're doing. Now we're starting to see this trend build where some companies are being really, really cool about it and saying, hey, you know what, you buy your game, whatever, it'll work on either system. A lot of other companies are going, now give us a little extra scratch and we'll make it happen for you. And I think that's shitty. Another thing that I'll point out is after Sony's conference today, it seems like the new suggested retail price for PS5 and Xbox Series X games is going to be $70 in North America. And that extra $10 is a lot. So, I don't know. Time's only going to tell here on this. I'm curious to know what you guys think about any of this stuff. What do you think of the PS5 launch? But specifically, what do you guys think about next-gen upgrades? Should developers and publishers charge for these upgrades, or should this all be free? You know, again, Microsoft made leaps and bounds with making everything such an easy transition into next gen, and I feel like these publishers and developers are just holding that trend back by charging for this stuff. So I'd love to hear in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time.